Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar today. My name is Greg Nielsen here at Mazuma USA. We're glad that you were able to join us. We're excited for this topic. This is actually, as accountants, we get this question often. And so we're excited to kind of share a little bit of insight that we have on this, and hopefully it's helpful. So we'll kind of jump into it here. Our topic today is charging what you're worth, which could be a little bit of a sensitive topic for some people. And we're going to go over the reason that is here a little bit. Real quick, I want to start off with a story, something that happened to me when I was actually in college. I had a friend who was a really, really good carpenter. And for those of you who know what crown molding is, so this was kind of lead us into our story of charging what you're worth. So crown molding is basically where the ceiling and the wall comes together. You have an angle there, and if you want to like spruce up a room or make it a little bit nicer, you put molding or wood up in that top corner. Well, that can be extremely difficult, mainly because of the way that you have to angle the saw. You don't just, not just one angle, it's two angles, and then you have to think about it. And if it's an inside corner or an outside corner, or if it's not quite a 90-degree corner, it can be extremely difficult to do. And so somebody who knows what they're doing and how to do this is actually it's something that has a high value in it. Well, there was a lady who had called my friend up and wanted him to come and look at her bedroom and see if we could do it. She'd had a couple other people come by, and they basically said, hey, look, this is too complicated, we can't do it. Because she had a bay window, and there was a lot of unique things to this job. And so we went over and looked at it, and we felt like, yeah, we could do it. We were young and dumb college students and thought we knew a lot, had a lot of self-confidence. And so we looked at it and we quoted her a price. I can't remember the exact price, but I want to say it was $1,000 or north of $1,000 for us to do this, just this one room. And she was so excited that we would even just take on the project that she was like, yeah, any amount, it felt like she was going to be willing to pay. So we got in there and went and got all the materials, started the job, started making our cuts. And it, like I was telling you, it takes a little bit to kind of figure out those angles and all that kind of stuff. But once we figured it out, we did the whole room. And I want to say about 2 hours, we had the whole thing done. And she came in, and rather than being like ecstatic and excited that her room was done with crown molding, she was so mad that we had charged her $1,000 because you did it in like 2 hours. Why? That's like $500 an hour. Why? Why would I pay you this much to do the room? And she started to get a little bit argumentative, and I was really taken back. And I was like, you agreed to a price. This is what it is. And anyway, it was a really kind of an interesting experience. So we sort of went back and forth for a little bit. Mainly my friend, I was just there to help. I was just a laborer to help. And he talked to her for a little bit, and he finally said, okay, I understand where you're at. And he went over and he got up on the ladder and he started pulling the crown molding down off that we had just installed. And then this lady, she went into hyperdrive. Then she really started freaking out. What are you doing? Why are you taking it down? And he says, well, obviously you didn't think it was worth it for us. Like the cost isn't worth what you got. So he's like, well, just, you can find somebody else to do it for cheaper, and, we'll take it as a loss and we'll move on. And needless to say, she quickly paid us our money, and we were out the door. She was happy to pay, and we moved on with life. And that experience has sat with me for quite a while, especially, as you get into business. There was really 5 lessons that I learned from that experience that I wanted to kind of share with you today. 5 things that I think are important to understand when it comes to charging what you're worth. While today, what we're talking about is primarily going to focus on things, the service industry. I think some of these are applicable across the board. For some reason in the service industry, when people see you performing the task, or your employees, that are providing the labor, for some reason, I feel like there's a lot of times that they discount the value that you're actually providing. Maybe it's because they think they could also do it, if they were spend some time, but the reality is they haven't spent the time to learn that skill. So for some reason, I feel like the service industry in particular always gets has a more difficult time of understanding their value. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it here. A couple of things. The first thing that is just so critical is, number one, understanding the client's pain. So you need to ask yourself, why are they hiring you? What do they want you to accomplish? You need to ask these questions. We have to find out the answers to these questions to really make sure that we are providing the value that they see and that they want. There's going back to my crown molding example of why she hired us. We knew that we could solve her problem. We knew exactly what it was. It was simple and easy to understand what her pain point was, and we provided that service to her, and ultimately got paid. We provided relief to that pain. Now, where it becomes a little bit more difficult, using the example of Mazuma USA, we're a bookkeeping and tax firm. So you would think, why do people hire us? It could be pretty easy to just say, well, I hire you to do people hire us to do their books, right? Or their taxes. But in reality, if you ask them questions, what they're really trying to get is, they're usually trying to eliminate a headache. They're trying to make sure they're staying compliant. They really want lower taxes. They want peace of mind. There's a lot more to it than you guys do my books. There's usually some reason, a deeper reason, that people are actually hiring you to do the job. So asking those questions and really getting to the root of why people are hiring you is really key to understanding and providing the right value for the services you're providing. So then once you know the pain point, you also have to, the next step is to really understand your value. What is your expertise? What professional qualifications, professional experiences, do you have? Obviously, in using the crown molding experiences, we had the skills. My friend specifically had really learned how to do this trade, and so there was a ton of value that he was bringing just by his experiences. There's one topic here that I do want to address, though, is don't discount your unconscious competencies. Now, what is an unconscious competency? You think of like riding a bike or driving a car. It's something that you've done so often in your field that it almost becomes automatic for you. You don't even really have to think about it. It just comes to you. A lot of times that's where the rub comes from people that are, from clients, is it only took you 2 hours using the crown molding experience. It only took you 2 hours to do that. Well, the reality is that's the value that you were paying for. We had been doing this work for so long that we could do it quicker, and we could actually get the job done that you were looking to get done. So don't focus on the time that it takes me to accomplish the task. It's what value did I bring? I got the job done that you asked to get done, and I got it done for a fair price. And so a lot of times, particularly when you're charging by the hour or things like that, the more you do it, the better you get at it. The better you get at it, the less time it takes you to do it. And that's not, you kind of are opposed to each other. You need to make sure that you continue to provide a charge for the value that you're providing, not necessarily the time that it takes you to accomplish a task, because there's value in the overall task that you're doing. One key thing here, though, is as we talk about knowing your value, is don't overvalue yourself, right? Know your competition, know what other people are charging, because sometimes we get to thinking, man, we're really good at this and we're the best and all this kind of stuff. You really need to also know what the market is willing to pay for those services. And so that research and that stuff is really important for you to know. The third thing here is going to be understanding the difference between value and price. Kind of touched on this a little bit. The reality is, when you focus on price, you want to be the low cost person. You want to beat out your competition with lowest price. You're going to attract clients who are seeking out people who are the lowest price, right? And so a lot of times you miss the opportunity to explain the value proposition that you're providing. And so it's good to do the work up front, whether that's offering people a free trial, helping them understand the value of what you're doing, whether that's a pre-engagement assessment saying, hey, here's where you're currently at with the things that you're wanting to improve on. We believe that we can make improvement in these areas, and help them understand what the value that you're bringing to the table, the potential ROI from what you're doing, how it solves their pain points. If they can understand that and get that picture, they're going to be ready to make the investment, and then they will again better understand the value, and will be more concerned about the value of what you're bringing than the price and what it's costing them to charge. So, all right, the fourth item here is kind of a evolution of the last one, understanding, helping the client understanding the value, but then how do you communicate that value to your clients? So you have to understand how to communicate your value to your clients. And this is super tricky, because we just don't do this well in the service industry. And you don't want to get in a position where we don't want to come across braggadocious or, try to make it sound like we're better than everybody else, or rub it in our client's face that, hey, you were really bad before you hired me. This is a really tricky one to do. And I don't know that in the service industry, we do a great job of this. But a couple of points is, we remind the clients of the problems that they hired you to solve and how badly they needed those resolved. And then show them that you're taking care of that, and that you are providing that value and that, relief from the issue that they wanted taken care of. So, going back to my story about the crown molding and how badly that lady wanted the job done. Other people had turned her down to even do it. We came in, we got it done so quickly. Then she got mad about how quick we got it. It was easy for us at the end when my friend went over there and he just started pulling it off the wall. It quickly reminded her of the pain problem that she had before, right? When he started pulling that crown molding down, she was like, "What are you doing? I wanted that up there, and I know you wanted that up there, but you didn't value what we did." And so it was a way to quickly remind her of the problem that she had, how difficult it was for her to solve that problem, and how we had solved that problem. And then immediately she was over her issue, and she was willing to pay. So it's a tough thing to do, but if you can do it right and continue to show your value, people will value that a lot. My last point here of the 5 points is understanding money. Naturally, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but naturally people are generally sort of uncomfortable with money, discussing money, having discussions about money. It's just, and if something is uncomfortable, we kind of shy away from it and try to let's just try to find resolve and just make this uncomfortable situation go away. If we're uncomfortable with money, the reality is we're probably going to have a hard time charging what we're worth, because we're rather than being able to say, this is what we're worth and this is our value, this is the value that we bring to the table, and this is our price, and just leave it at that and let somebody, make a decision based on that. We typically try to get a reaction from them, and oh shoot, they're uncomfortable. They think I'm charging too much. Maybe I'm charging too much. And then we start to question. And so then we start to renegotiate and try to find something. And the next thing you know, we're like, well, we'll just do it for free. Right. We really have to understand what we're valued at, and be firm and not afraid to have the discussions about money. And not be afraid to feel, there's no reason to feel bad or to feel guilty about what we're charging if we've established the value, if we know we're in line with competition and all those kind of things, then we just need to stick to what we're doing. A couple of things just to wrap up. One final warning. and this is another thing that we come across a lot in the accounting industry when we're talking to a lot of our clients. Just be cognizant of the fact, and I'm sure you guys have heard this quote before, that pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Again, in the service industry, sometimes you get into a good thing and you're showing value and you get a good client, and then you can get a little bit greedy. You start overeating, if you will, raising prices, charging more, not providing the value that they hired you for. And the next thing you know, you're slaughtered because you didn't pay attention to the client. You didn't take care of their needs. You started to take that relationship for granted and all of that. We're here to get fed. You should be getting fed. You shouldn't be doing things for free, but don't get so greedy, the epitome of greed. Don't get so greedy that at the end of the day, you're getting slaughtered. So please keep that in mind to make sure you're balancing those things out. So anyway, just those are the five lessons that I've learned as far as knowing how to charge what you're worth. And then also my just kind of final warning here on that. We hope that information was helpful. If you do have any questions for Mazuma, we would love to help you out. You can reach us at support@mazumausa.com. Our phone number is on there, 801-617-0660, or visit our website at mazumausa.com. Be happy to help you out, whether that's with your accounting needs or just any questions you would have in general. I believe we're going to open up for a Q&A here for a little bit. It would have to be, please try to keep it topic based, and we'll try to answer any questions that you may have. If not, we can try to figure out how to get you answers. So. All right, we got a question from Marilyn. If you were just starting out, how do we assess what to charge? This is a great question. I think this is the ultimate question that we're always asking ourselves, right? How do we know what we charge? There's a couple of things that I would say, and I know this helped us, Mazuma, as we were getting started. I'll just give you a little bit of an example. When we were getting started, this was 12 or 13 years ago, there weren't the concept of a subscription-based accounting firm just wasn't really out there. There was a couple of people that were doing things kind of similar, but there wasn't a lot of competition to really go and see what is this, what are people paying for this? And so we kind of had just kind of had to feel it out. I think though, if you're in an industry, that other people are already in that space, your market research, your competitor research is, I think, really key to that. Go try to figure out what everybody else what are they claiming the value is that they're bringing, and what are they charging for that value. And then that allows you to position yourself either in line with them or against them. Maybe you're providing a different value, a better value, and you're providing it at the same price, or you're providing a completely different value, and you're charging it at a higher price. But being able to seeing what companies or services people are using and what they're paying for them, and using that as your gauge, I think is the most important way. The other thing that I will say, the reality is when you're starting out, being willing to do some of those free assessments for people, or putting them on free trial, is really, really important. Really important. It can really help you understand and get more information from potential clients about things that, or about their pain points, to help you better position yourself, if that makes sense. So Helen here, what is a decent amount of time to give between price increases? And when making them, how much notice should you give clients? Also, how much detail should you go into regarding the increases? Thanks. Yeah, this is a great question. I think anybody who is on a subscription based or an hourly, charging hourly, this is stuff that you come across all the time. I think if you look at it right now, you guys have probably, if you have subscriptions with, Netflix or Amazon Prime, all these, you'll notice that as the inflation goes up, right, they're giving you notice that, hey, your Amazon Prime account's going up by $2 a month, and all of that. So the decent amount of time to give between price increases, I think, really depends on the industry and what's going on. Historically, for us, we've had price increases maybe every 5 years. We try not to do them often. We try to get people locked in, and we try to be stable so that people, don't feel like we're changing on them all the time. But it probably is averaged out to about every 5 years. I think, and giving them a month heads up is always good. I don't know. I know that there are some, like with Visa, there are some regulatory compliance issues that you would want to look into to make sure that you were meeting any sort of compliance items as well. And as far as how much detail to go in regarding the increase, I think that, kind of depends. That kind of depends on what you're doing and how many clients you have, things like that. So hopefully that's helpful. Benjamin's got another question here. How do you factor expenses of new equipment and gear into your price point? Yeah, great question, Benjamin. This could get a little bit more detail. If I could maybe just give you some two examples here. One of them would be if you were, like an hour, if you're charging hourly, for instance, you would want to look at how often are you going to be replacing that gear or that equipment. How much do you charge? You're basically building an hourly rate with gear and equipment, your time, any other time associated with completing that task. And so although your hourly rate, I'll use just an example, your hourly rate may be $100, 40 of that could be going just towards you. 10 or 15 of that is going to your gear, and the rest of it is going to home office overhead or general expenses. How you figure that is, how long does that gear last you? How often would you be replacing that gear? And then you can and for how many hours would you be able to use that gear? And then you can prorate that over the lifetime of that gear and say, hey, I need to allocate X dollars an hour towards gear and gear replacement, and things like that. Again, without having too many specifics, that's the probably easiest way to look at it. Is it's really just the lifetime useful life of the equipment spread over it, how often you would use it, how often for each year, and then applying that to an hourly rate. So all right, got a couple of questions here. Inga, starting off, what is your take on offering refunds and when not to? The really good question, Inga. I honestly wouldn't exactly know how to answer this question because it's so, I feel like it's so industry specific. Here at Mazuma, we always want people to be happy with our service, and so we always give them a 30-day refund if something isn't going well. But you would have to just kind of make that decision on your own. How do are people really do the refund? If you provided the service and then they're just requesting a refund just because, you would have to figure out, do I really want to offer that refund, or should I kind of go to bat for myself? It's very situational, but I think if you're just making sure that you are getting paid for the work that you did, I think that's the most important thing. So James is asking a question. I just started an excavation business back in April, and so many people around me have small equipment that do stuff on the side. Do you have any idea how to compete with them? Yeah. I'm trying to offer top quality work, but it's hard to do. Yeah. So James, we've got a similar issue, right? We do accounting, and everybody's got a nephew's brother, cousin, sister, friend, wife, right? That is doing it on the side. And they're like, well, I could get my brother-in-law's brother to do it for me. It's like, okay, he's gonna, right? You're probably not going to get like you're not going to get quality work done. He's doing it after hours. He doesn't do it full time, So this one hits at my heartstrings a little bit. To be honest, I don't know what the answer is other than continue to offer quality work. A lot of times those side gigs, those people that do it on that or go and hire somebody cheaper, that comes back and bites them, and then they have to hire somebody to get it done right. So I wish I had a better explanation or a better answer. If you figure this out, send me a message, because we're dealing with the same thing often. So. All right. I think that's all the questions for today. Again, thank you everyone for joining. We've really appreciated spending some time with you. Hopefully this was informational. I believe this gets sent out, so you'll get a copy of it, and you can share it with your friends, and hopefully spread the word. We'll be having another one of these. I believe we do them almost monthly, so be on the lookout. We'd love to have you participate on the next one. So thanks everyone.